Good evening, this is Bel Geode, and we are back with another stop on the Purple Hat Tours. Tonight, we are going to the island of Nantucket, which sits about 30 miles just south of the mainland Massachusetts area. And this particular scenery that we'll be looking at is created by iBlueYonder. The iBlueYonder Nantucket Island is, of course, PAYWARE, and as always, the link is going to be below. Now, iBlueYonder, the company, is the brainchild of Bel Womack. Now, if Bill's name doesn't sound too familiar to you, let me put it in perspective. Bel was one of the creators of some of the Orbix sceneries that we're so used to using. For example, Siletz Bay Airport, Cushman Meadows, Bear Gulch, Stark's Twin Oaks Airport, which happens to be one of my favorites, actually. All of those airports were created by Bel. He struck out on his own and created iBlueYonder, and this is one of the crowning masterpieces that he's come up with. He also has one freeware airport there called the Heron's Nest, which is just off the coast of Maine and is a must if you have any aircraft like the Piper Cub. However, we're going to be taking a look at this bad boy right here because he has put a lot of love into this. Now, I was first turned on to this airport when I saw his video of it, and I had the chance to meet him and his wife at FlightSimCon this year, 2017. I was really thoroughly impressed. The first thing I did when I got back home, like as soon as I put my bags down and turned on the computer, I went and bought this scenery. So this review has been a long time coming, and I just can't say enough good things about it. There's just so much to it, and the detail is just absolutely incredible. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a quick look around the airport, and then we'll hop back into our stallion for today. We will be flying in the Wilco FeelThere Tiltrotor, which is now available on Aerosoft, and you may have seen the Tiltrotor before on some of my previous videos. Allie and I have flown it around. Allie's not with me today, though. But just take a look at all the detail that he's put into it. And I don't know if the real airport has that many Jeeps, but you know what? I could forgive that. Alright, so let's head across the parking lot here. I should also add that the trees that you're looking at come with the scenery. So even though in the distance you can still see the Turbulent Designs Terraflora trees that I have, these particular trees are included with the scenery. So Bill's basically thought of everything here. Okay, we are going to work our way back to the near side of the airport, and then we will hop into the Tiltrotor, and I'm going to show you around this gorgeous island so that you can see for yourself just how much effort and love Bel has put into this scenery. And look at that. There's even cargo pods here. That is so neat. That is so neat. Along the way, I'll tell you a little bit about Nantucket Island. But first, let's watch the old US Air take off. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Alright, well, there is no time like the present to get this show on the road, so we'll go ahead and hop into ye old Tiltrotor, which, by the way, has me in the pilot seat. Don't know if you noticed that. Okay, so this is not the executive version that I always use with Allie. This is the more utilitarian version. This is like the original livery of the BA609, now called the AW609. As you can see, we've got some stretchers there, we've got a few seats in the back, so yeah, this is like a jack of all trades version. And this is the aircraft type that I'm going to be using for the Purple Hat Tours whenever I have to do a scenery in FSX. Alright, let's hop into the pilot seat here and we'll get started with our startup procedure. It's a beautiful day out here in Massachusetts for a flight around the area. So let's see, I'm going to want to get the battery going here. Alright, at the very top we got the battery. And we got the two generator switches, Gen 1 and Gen 2. There's also a Gen 3, but it's linked. Anti-collision lights, nav lights, we'll turn you on. And let's get some fuel pumps going. Now I need to set my condition levers to about 50% on both levers. Okay, there we go. That should be enough fuel, so we'll go ahead and turn the fuel pumps back off, and we'll get ready to do the startup here. Alright, avionics are still off. I should probably turn those on before we get going here. Okay, there we go. We'll wait for that to power up. Give it a few seconds there. Alright, now we're ready for engine start, so we'll start with the left engine. I will remind you, this particular model of Tiltrotor is not realistically reflective of the fact that both engines can drive both rotors. Alright, but we do have a good start on engine number 1, so this is fine. We're going to want to switch over to the co-pilot seat so that we can get a good start on engine number 2. It's just easier for me to do while I'm using chase plane here. Okay, and now that we're over here at the co-pilot seat, we will turn off the starter for engine number 1 and turn on the starter for engine number 2. Okay, so that nacelle should be powering up now, and we should see the rotor turning any second. There we go, just like clockwork. I'll also remind you that I had to heavily modify this aircraft because when Wilco FeelThere came out with it, there were so many bugs that were unfinished. It's a wonder that they're even still selling this thing. But if you do need some of the files that I came up with, just let me know. Alright, for right now, let's go ahead and get the rest of our lights on. So taxi lights, emergency beacon, probably should have turned that on first. We'll put our condition levers to 100%, so that'll give us the juice we need to take off. And I want to say that's everything for the top side there, so let me just make sure we have the rest of lights on. I'm going to turn the landing lights on anyway, even though we really don't need them just yet. Okay, and that should be about everything, so our next task is to contact the tower and get clearance to take off. Thinking we're probably going to go with a south departure here, so with that in mind, Nantucket ground BelGeode 310 with Juliet, request taxi for south departure.
BelGeode 310, taxi holding runway 33, using taxiway Foxtrot.
Pretty sure runway 33 is heading north, not south. Alright, I'll acknowledge. Taxiing, hold short runway 33 via taxiway Foxtrot Echo, runway 12, BelGeode 310. And we'll turn on a cheat sheet here, and that will help us with our next task, which is pushback.
One of the things that you're going to notice, which I'm not too much of a fan of, is the way that the ground textures look at this airport. There's a reason behind that. One of the things that Bill likes to do is he likes to bake in the actual apron, runway, and taxi markings, everything, into the FSX ground texture. When you do things like that, it relies on a certain terrain texture file that's underlaid to actually create the roughness, if you will, of the ground. That file is interchangeable. For example, I have right now swapped it out for a different file that makes everything look gravelly. But the problem with that is it will also make grass look gravelly. Whereas this texture that Bill has used underneath is actually more of a grassy, mossy type texture, and it does look a little bit weird when you slap like an asphalt texture on top of it. But a lot of developers do that, so that's not something that I can fault to Bill personally. Okay folks, here we are at runway 33, so let's get clearance. Nantucket Tower, Bel Geode 310 at runway 33, ready for departure to the south.
Bel Geode 310, cleared for takeoff. Runway 33, departure to the south for Burn.
Okay, good deal. Cleared for takeoff, runway 33, Bel Geode 310. Alright, we'll do our quick turnaround here, and we will begin our tour of Nantucket Island. I'll give you like an aerial view of the airport first before we do our lap around the entire island and see all the little goodies that Bill has in store for us here. Okay, folks, you know what it's time for. Brakes down and throttles up. And we are out of here. Alrighty folks, let's go ahead and take a tour of the island. In that little outside shot that I was just showing there, the key things that I wanted you to pay attention to is the fact that this entire island is composed of ortho photos, so that makes it ultra realistic, as we're going to see as we fly around. From my understanding, Bill's only put the 3D grass at the airport itself. I don't think the 3D grass extends to the entire island, but as you can see, Terra Flora appears to be filling in the rest. And okay, that is good to know. Alright, we'll just go ahead and put it back to the actual airport itself. Alright, so let's go first to the southern side of the island and see what he's got there as far as beachfront property. As I do these extended exterior shots, I want you to pay very close attention to how Bill has utilized the 3D objects that he's got in this thing. Obviously, he took the time to come up with the Cape Cod style housing that's very prevalent in this region. But the key takeaway that I want you to note here is that he's matched it up with the ortho photos. So the houses are exactly where they would be if we were looking at this in real life. You'll even notice that he matched the color of the shoals and the shallow areas of the water, which I think is really cool. I know some developers like to leave that part out, but the shoreline is part of what makes an island impressive, and he's really gone above and beyond when it comes to adding all these key features in there to just make it, you know, pop. And it works. It really freaking works. I mean, look at that shoreline. It looks like it's perfect for going body surfing. I would totally do that. Alright, let's head to what I consider the downtown area of Nantucket. We'll take a look at what he's got over there. And look at that. What is that, a silo? That's pretty freaking cool. I don't care how you slice it. That is really cool. Okay, so we're almost to the downtown region. Normally, he's also got ferries on a regular route that'll come in and out, but it looks like our timing is a little bit off, so we probably won't be seeing the ferries for this particular episode. But mark my words, they are there, and you will see them every now and then come into Nantucket and then head back to the mainland. It's really cool. Make no bones about it, folks. What you're looking at here is quite possibly some of the most expensive bits of real estate in the United States of America. And yeah, I would think all of the rather expensive sailboats give it away as well. This is like a tourist mecca. They can see upwards of 50,000 people every year in peak tourist season. And you can see why. Look at it. It's just so picturesque. The only other place I know in the U.S. that even has this kind of ambiance would probably be Key West. So as I'm sure you can see, we've got a place of worship directly ahead there. I kind of don't want to smack into it. I'm pretty sure that would be a blasphemy, so we'll just turn around here. But you can see just how much autogen Bill has populated in this thing. And that's one of the reasons why I find that his sceneries always seem to be some of the more robust sceneries out there. It's just the fact that he's able to cram so much into a small area. And bear in mind, I have my autogen turned down, so you'll notice that some of the houses are just orthophotos because they're actually missing because I have my autogen set lower. But that being said, he's still able to put a lot in there for me to see. Alright, so we've had our fun downtown. Let's head to the northern side of the island and see if we can locate one of these famous lighthouses that Nantucket has after we do a barrel roll. Yay! Okay, so I think if we follow this beach, we should meet up with the lighthouse. So that is going to be our next stop, and I am going to put our throttles to full. The lighthouse that we just overflew has a very interesting history. It's called the Great Point Light, and at one point in time it was also called the Nantucket Light. It was originally built in 1784 as a wooden structure that was destroyed by fire in 1816. The following year they built the stone tower that lasted until March 1984 when it was toppled by a storm. And then once again it was rebuilt in 1986 and remains there to this day. It stands as the northernmost point on Nantucket Island, and it divides the Atlantic Ocean from the Nantucket Sound. The next famous lighthouse that we're going to take a look at is called the Sankaty Head Light, which was built in 1850. Now, while this one was never destroyed, it was moved because the bluff that it sits on eroded. Like most lighthouses, this one's got an interesting story as well. You may notice that it's not on a point, as you would find with most lighthouses. It's actually in the middle of the shoreline here. There's a reason for that. The eastern shoals, which we're looking at right now, have traditionally been a hazard to navigation for mariners. So back in the mid-1800s, it was decided to put this lighthouse here to warn mariners to stay away from the shoals area as they were making their way in. So February 1850, this tower was lit, and then it was electrified in 1933. Now, I had mentioned that this thing was moved. I'm going to show you the reason why that was done. Alright, if you look over here, you will see some pretty impressive looking bluffs. With the erosion over time, they had to organize a way to actually move this thing, and they successfully did it back in 2007. So where it sits right now is not its original location, but it still works. And they even built a house for the lighthouse keeper. Incidentally, the name Nantucket is derived from a Native American tribe, the Wampanoag tribe. It was their word for in the midst of waters or faraway island. Alright, let's go ahead and contact the tower real quick. Nantucket Tower, BelGeode 310 is 5 miles east with Mike to land.
BelGeode 310, Nantucket Tower. Continue approach. Runway 33. Altimeter 3024.
Okay, good deal. Continue runway 33, BelGeode 310. So yeah, originally this island was settled by the Wampanoag tribe, and it wasn't actually settled by Europeans until about 1641. Ugh, how you gotta interrupt me, man? Clear to land, runway 33, BelGeode 310. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, so the British actually settled this in earnest roughly around 1659. And at that point in time, Nantucket was actually called Sherborne. Now, whaling is one of the things that this island is famous for, as if you've ever read the book Moby Dick, it actually starts out on this island. Now the airport I'm going to tell you about when we land, but suffice to say some other interesting facts about Nantucket. During the Revolutionary War, where America got its independence from Britain, this island remained neutral. And also in the Civil War, this island was attacked by the Confederacy.
As far as the airport goes, this airport actually began life as farmlands in the 1930s, and during World War II, the Navy had actually annexed it for their use. Since then, it's been a commuter airport. And here's our exit. Okay. 121.7 BelGeode 310. And we are so not contacting ground, because we never contact ground. Otherwise they'll have me parked clean across the other side of Nantucket Island. Alright, but that is basically it, folks. That is all I wanted to show you today for Nantucket Island. I will remind you, this is by iBlueYonder, Bill Womack's company. And this is PAYWARE. You can pick it up on his website. The link, of course, is going to be below. Now, when I had the opportunity to meet Bill and actually talk with him and his wife, Dawn, at FlightSimCon 2017, one of the things that I'd mentioned to both of them is us rotorheads really love our helipads. Even though Nantucket doesn't have any helipads per se, I happen to know that Bill is currently working on Dallas Love Field. With that, he's going to be including portions of downtown Dallas as well, and he has assured me that we will have helipads that we'll be able to land on. So I can't wait to see what he comes up with for that. Alright, let's go ahead and turn everything off here. And let's get our condition levers back up to the 0 setting, and that should kill both engines with a quickness. I do intend on showing you also his freeware product, the Heron's Nest scenery that he's done, which is a little island off the coast of Maine. How I think I'll do that is in VR, so you can expect that coming at some point in time, but it won't be an official part of the Purple Hat Tours. Officially, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be going to the tropics, and we're going to be going back to X-Plane 11 to show off a really awesome scenery that, unfortunately, I wanted to release the review earlier, but I couldn't because of the timing of it, and I will explain all of that in the next Purple Hat Tour. But for now, that will basically do it for me. So you know what comes next. Thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode, and I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator X Steam Edition, and we have been taking a look at iBlueYonder's Nantucket Island, which is available for FSX, FSX Steam, and P3D version 3. I believe Bill is currently working on getting it ready for version 4. Our chariot today has been the Wilco FeelThere Tiltrotor, which is now available through Aerosoft, and bear in mind I have modified mine. If you like what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will catch you on the next Purple Hat Tours. Ciao!